This Memorial Day weekend, we're honoring our heroes and hitting the water. From redfish on the coast to lunker bass in the lakes, Texas is firing on all cylinders.
We've got the hot bite, the holiday weekend weather to help you make the most of it. So let's get started on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
This is the Texas Insider Fishing Report, and we're your hosts, Bree Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy. Rick, Memorial Day weekend is upon us, which means as many people as possible will be chilling, grilling, and catching if our captains and guides have anything to say about it.
You're absolutely right. You know what's going to be really cool for me?
What?
I'm going to be in Texas filming a Sportsman's Adventure episode throughout the whole Memorial Day weekend.
That'll be fun.
So guys, if you're in Port Aransas or Rockport, look for us. I'd love to say hello.
All right, well, we also have a special guest with us today from Taco Marine. We'll see a little bit later in the show, but let's head to the Parts View workbench and get a quick howdy from Dave.
Yeah.
Hi, Dave.
How you doing? We're going to talk a little bit about some crappie, which would be great for, a Memorial Day fish fry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That sounds
Can't beat
delicious.
it.
Chilling, grilling, and
For that,
catching.
for sure.
I love it. All right, well, we're starting out our busy weekend in the Upper Fresh region with Mike McFarland, who has some exciting news. So let's get to it, Mike.
Hey guys, great to be here. Captain, Bree, Dave, I love it. I'm always excited to do this show, and I can't wait. I got a lot to tell you, so let's go there. Starting with the world famous Lake Fork and bass fishing. Lake is 3 inches over pool, 71 to 74 degrees. The early morning shad spawn's really kicked off. If it's windy, which we get a lot of wind here, use the half ounce Berkeley slobber knocker with a paddle tail swim bait. On the calm mornings, which is my favorite, we're catching them on the Berkeley topwaters like the Bullet Pop or the Jaywalker. The blue herons are your tip. That's your secret. Find the blue herons that are catching shad and fish right in front of the blue herons. Your best colors are shad patterns. Bodark, Lake Bodark, one of the newest lakes of Texas, is fishing incredible. About the same as last week, full pool for the first time ever. So it's overspilling for the first time ever, but target any slope bank with a soft plastic stick bait like the Berkeley General. The green pumpkin and tails dip chartreuse is your best color combination. David uses a 1/16 ounce tungsten weight, tagged Texas style. He's fishing mostly very, very, very shallow. Again, on those slope banks. If they're not shallow, he moves out to about 5 to 7 foot of water and switches from the Berkeley General to a max scent creature hog or a creature craw, creature bait in watermelon red. And I also got another tip about Bodark. The frog bite's pretty good there. Going to Ray Hubbard. Joe Shipley says it is over pool, 65 to 70 degrees. There's a lot of bass guarding fry, so you can catch bass holding very tight to the banks. But the best bites, your Berkeley squarebills and buzzbaits and shad colors around the early morning shad spawn. Once that slows down, move out to the rocks and use shaky heads tipped with max scent trick worms. I like the color blue fleck this time of year, but June bug is always a good color for these Texas lakes, these North Texas lakes, catching a lot of bass at Hubbard. Tawakoni, Matt Cartwright, he says that it's 10 inches over pool, 74 degrees, and the bass are on any type of shallow cover you want to fish. They're in the flooded grass, they're in the flooded willows, Texas rig soft plastic baits in watermelon, red flake, green pumpkin, 4-inch creature baits in the max scent are working. Top choices for me, I love the Berkeley General, really hard to beat. Quick tip, just regular green pumpkin on cloudy days, green pumpkin with red flake when the sun's shining. And look, here's just a typical Lake Fork special. This is my client with a beautiful fish caught on a slobber knocker.
All right, let's go to Crappie's, Web, or whatever.
Crappie, Tawakoni with Cartwright. The marinas have really finally filled up with the crappie there. They're spawning around any shallow water, lily stalks, brush, anything like that. Cork and a minnow is going to do the best there. And I did not get you a crappie report for Lake Fork, but it is awesome. They're post-spawn. They're offshore there on Lake Fork. Just get out on Lake Fork and you'll find some of those deep trees and the good crappie fishing there. Moving to the hybrids and stripers on white bass. Those on Tawakoni, Cartwright says, are mixed together. They're catching hybrid stripers, everything early in the morning on schooling flats. With the chartreuse swim baits, so really you're catching the bigger fish. The slab spoons are catching your white bass. But I love it when Matt sends me pics like this. This is just 2 full tables. It's outrageous how many mixed fish are in these 2 tables, but a little bit of everything, stripers, whites, and hybrids.
Wow, that's awesome. Tell us about the kitty
lots
cats.
of cleaning and lots of good catch in there. That's a lot of fun.
Yes,
And then
sir.
we got one more for you, catfish. Catfish on Tawakoni are really, really good. The main lake banks around the willows, 2 to 4 foot, they're really spawning and eating the shad around those areas. Pork and punch baits cleaning up. Listen, it's Memorial Weekend, so anywhere you go, it's going to be really busy. But the fishing is excellent up here in the Northeast Texas region. Upper Fresh region is ready for you to come visit us. Just keep safe. And, as always, Captain, I really appreciate you having us here, and I wish everybody really, really great fishing, man.
All right, man. Thank you so much for starting us off tonight, bub. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Upper Fresh region. Mike says Lake Fork, it's offering some incredible offshore post-spawning crappie fishing and has once again been ranked the #1 bass fishing lake in the state of Texas.
Once again. All right, the red, white, and blue runs strong in the Upper Coast region, and so does the fishing this week. So let's get Captain Mickey Eastman on the line. Hi, Mickey.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be here. Well, it's got a lot to talk about. Trout fishing still red hot throughout the Galveston Bay system and over at Sabine Lake. So let's get started on trout. Trinity Bay, we're still getting a lot of freshwater flow coming in from the San Jacinto and Trinity rivers, but fish those color changes. Look for good stack-ups of trout ahead of that fresh water. Target your reefs, your shorelines in 2 to 6 feet of water, and soft plastics and topwaters. Really looking, good for the most bites. And look for slicks and birds. Birds are starting to work with these brown shrimp coming in, and water clarity's fair and good. The 82 degrees is our temperature now. East Bay's holding good numbers of specks along that south shoreline. We've been contending with a lot of high winds this spring, but these shorelines are loaded with fish. Pepper Point reefs are holding fair numbers, and the shorelines from Big Pasture all the way down to Seaver's Cut. Find you a good place to wade with bait, you'll catch fish. Water temp's 81 degrees, clarity is good, and West Bay is still the most consistent for trout. That water's holding better over there because they got a lot more grass. Coves on the south shoreline, grass beds on the north shoreline, and they're producing good numbers of solid trout, some up to about 7 pounds, especially behind San Luis Pass. The Ship Channel and Campbell Bay, they're starting to heat up with tide runner trout. Water conditions good, 81 degrees. Sabine Lake, pretty much the same. A lot of fresh water dumping in there right now with their 2 rivers. Conditions are fair, but work that east shoreline, that Louisiana side, with soft plastics like Little Johns and Shad Assassins and Gulf shrimp. Bright colored topwaters are go-to baits right now, and fish have been schooling from Madam Johnson Bayou to Blue Buck Point from about 2 to 6 feet of water near drains and points over shell and soft bottom. Stay ahead of that fresh water. Water clarity is fair. Water temp 81 degrees. This week's trout photo, Captain Blaine Fryermood, Trinity Bay trout. That's a nice spec for this time of year. And let's get to redfish. The Galveston jetties north and south, they've been red hot all year for redfish. Nothing's changed. Bull redfish action's really hot on live shrimp tied to the rocks, and use finger mullet too. Tidal flow is critical. Water temp out there is 81. Water conditions are really good. And redfish action, it's been fair to good along all the rock groins in the upper and lower Galveston, channel area and the upper and lower Galveston Bay. Use live shrimp and Gulf shrimp. Smith Point area, ahead of that fresh water, it's holding some fair numbers of oversized redfish and slots, shallow and deep. Soft plastics drawing the most strikes. Water conditions fair, 81 degrees in Sabine Lake red fishing. It's about the same. It's been fair to good. It's dependent on the conditions and these winds and water clarity. Best area has been the east shoreline from Madam Johnson Bayou to Blue Buck Point. Fish 1 to 3 water and real tight, 1 to 3 feet of water, and fish tight to the shorelines for these slot redfish. And Bass Assassins and topwaters are working really good around drains and points. And when tides are bulled up, don't forget about those back lakes, marsh ponds, and bayous. They're good too. And the Sabine jetties, they've been fair when the winds are down and conditions are favorable. And redfish photo this week's Captain Thomas Francis. And offshore, it's just been so rough. It's just been really hard for these boats to get out and do their thing. So bull redfish is still a hot item. Fish the jetties and major passes into the Galveston Bay system. Shad, mullet, crab fished along the bottom. go-to baits for success. Gulf shrimp on a jig works great too. And flounder are starting to really move in. There's another species that's overlooked a lot, but a lot of people are catching them right now behind major passes and stay up shallow on the flats in 1 to 3 feet of water. Shad assassins in dark colors are really working good. This week's flounder photo is Andrew Schaefer.
Mickey, you did a great job, man. I appreciate all your hard work each week. I'm glad you're part of the team.
Glad to be here, man. It's all good, and be careful. Memorial Day will be crowded. So
that's right.
Watch
Don't forget
the
the
boats.
That's right. And don't forget.
You too, Rick.
Good to see you,
Catch
bub.
me a big one in Rockport, man.
All right, man. I hope to see you. Don't forget to listen to his radio show every Thursday and Friday and Saturday. But you know what? We got to get to the Upper Coast Region hotspots. Mickey says that West Bay, near San Luis Pass, Campbell Bay, Upper Galveston Bay, and East Bay remains good with a flow of brown shrimp and tide runner specks moving in. The flounder are moving in on the flats in good numbers as well.
All right, well, this Memorial Day, take a moment to honor the heroes who never made it home. Donate to Heroes on the Water in memory of those who gave everything for our freedom. Your gift helps us serve veterans, active duty military, and first responders, offering peace, healing, and connections through kayak fishing events. Give in their memory. Visit heroesonthewater.org/donate to make your donation today. The Startron Middle Fresh Region has your long weekend fishing plans ready to go, but first, Dave Farrell is at the Parts View workbench for rigs and techniques. Dave, what we got going over here?
Well, we're going
Lots
to be
of stuff.
talking about catching crappie on jigs. So,
Crappie jigs.
Everybody likes to catch them on minnows because that is probably the best and easiest way. But you got some other ways.
We're getting jiggy with it. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio. Blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. Fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. Prospect Smoked Meats. Fuel your day the Texas way. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Well, it's time for the rigs and techniques here at the Parts View workbench. You know, Dave, getting jiggy with a crappie is something they like to do in Texas.
Yeah, they do. You know, they're one of the most pursued species in Texas, you know, probably just as much as bass people fish for crappie because they're really good to eat. You know, you can go out, you can catch, you know, Texas allows you to keep 25 per person.
Ooh.
So, you know, and they got to be a minimum of 10 inches, and they got plenty of crappie that are over 10 inches. So, you know, it's a great way to, you know, get a big cooler full of food, you know, and you really don't have to, you know, probably a minnow is probably the best way to catch them if you want to keep some minnows on the boat. But if you don't want to bother with all that hassle of keeping minnows alive and clean, and you want to keep your boat cleaner, you know, jigs work just as well a lot of times, sometimes better. Sometimes you'll be fishing in a spot with one guy with minnows, another guy with jigs. The jig guy's catching them all, the minnow guy's not getting a bite. Goes vice versa. It goes back and forth. But you know, during the spring and fall, you know, the crappie are in a transitional period. Like right now, they're pretty much, you know, done with most of the stuff inshore, and as it starts to heat up, they go and try to find deeper water and, you know, more of a stable temperature. So you can use your sonar to find these, you know, these groups of fish. They'll group up, and they really like to group up on a horizontal. If you find a horizontal something, a tree, something, anything that's like horizontal up off the bottom that has a little slant to it, boy, they'll get all over that.
They like that.
And brush piles, docks, and air, you know, areas around docks, lily pads, any kind of structure will hold them. But you know, most of the ones you'll find in Texas are around, you know, trees. You know, and you'll come up on a tree, and sometimes, you know, if you've got the live scope, you can see, you know, it looks like the whole top of the tree is alive. You know, it's like it's blowing in the wind because they're all top, you know, at the top of it. And what you want to do is you want to drop your jig down there, you know, and try not to, you know, you want to get a little ways off the school. You know, you can vertical jig, but you don't want to be right on top of them. You want to be, 8 feet or so away from them so you can, use one of these long crappie rods and get your jig out and have it just come down, and you want it to stop right above where you're marking the fish. Because, crappie aren't going to go down to get something. They're going to come up. They'll come up to eat it, but they won't go down to get it. So you want to keep most of your baits above the school.
Right.
And that's what's so great about these crappie rods. They're really long. They're very sensitive.
Right.
And just you holding it, that little tail will jiggle in the water. Mm-hmm. And those are the kind of the baits that you want to use when you're using these kind of rods.
Right.
Because you're not really casting and retrieving.
Right.
You're pretty much just dropping it. It's pretty much like using a bamboo pole.
Right.
That little reel on there isn't made to fight the fish. It's
Right.
just to hold the line.
Right.
And you pretty much fight the fish with the rod.
Right. Right.
Now, when you're using one of these other baits without, that instead of that tiny shad, if you're using one with a little spinner on it or something like that.
They call these hair jigs.
That's a hair jig. Or anything with a spinner or a curly tail. We got some of the ones down there with a curly tail.
Okay.
You're going to be casting those and then reeling them back over the top of the school. Right? Over the top of the school, too. You don't want to go through the middle of it, and you don't want to go underneath of it. You want to go over the top of it. And these are the kind of jigs that you'll be wanting to troll as well. A lot of guys will use a spider rig where they'll have 6 to 12 rods sticking out of the front of the boat, and each one of them's got a little jig like that, and it's between 8 to 15 feet, depending on where you're marking the fish, and you'll just troll along and use those at different depths and try to locate those fish, and they'll hopefully come up and eat your jig.
Boy, Bass Assassin makes some really cool crappie
Yes,
die
they do.
dappers.
All the little panfish assassin.
They look just like
the little dappers and the tiny shads as well are really cool. Not only that, you can use a bobber. They were talking earlier tonight about using a bobber rig. Mm-hmm. And if you use a bobber stopper, it allows you to set that thing up perfectly. I've got it really shallow right now so that we could show it better.
Right.
But what happens is you'll make that cast out there with that jig, and you'll have this little bobber stopper, 10 or 15 feet up,
right,
wherever you're marking the fish, and that bobber will come right up to the top and stop, and now your bait's working, jubilating down there in the spot where you want it to be.
Oh no!
Underneath the bobber. I said jubilee. I said
Oh
your word.
no! He using a Rickism over here at the workbench.
man.
Bree,
Now
that's
you're talking-
my Memorial Day surprise.
There
You're
you go.
talking Rick's
Jubilate.
language. Jubilating gentlemen over there. All right, if you plan on waving that flag in the Star Charm Middle Fresh region, then Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn, Lake Granbury, and Richland Chambers are the places to be with Matt Loescher. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Bree, I tell you what, that jubilating on those crappie, man, that is the way to do it. So take those tips from Rick and Dave there, because that was one of the most comprehensive, best explanations of how to catch crappie I've ever heard. Good job, guys.
Wow.
Oh, thank you so much. I'll send that 20 later.
All right. Yeah, now let's talk about some bass fishing, and we're going to start on Toledo Bend. Man, there is just so much good fishing here right now, so many big fish coming from Toledo Bend right now. I could literally spend my whole report talking about it, but we can't do that, so we're going to spread the love a little bit. But starting off with Toledo Bend, water level right now is hovering just below full level and falling. Temperature is in the mid-70s consistently now. The shallow bite for the bass is waning because of the falling water level, but the offshore structure fishing is getting really good. The bass have gotten over that post-spawn funk now, and they're really fattening up nicely. There have been lots of double-digit fish weighed in the past few weeks. It's been incredible. There was even a 40-pound tournament limit weighed in a BFL recently. It's just been awesome. Now, like a typical May pattern, your deep diving crankbait and the big worm have both been really dominant. But there's other ways of catching them too. Your Carolina rig and all that stuff is still good, and some topwater here and there. But the fish are setting up very well in 10 to 20 foot of water on your flat points near the mouths of the creeks. Timing is everything for this type of fishing, so if a spot looks really good to you, don't be afraid to check it multiple times throughout the day. And I want to recap real quick some of these recent tournament results because they are definitely newsworthy. And I should have showed this photo last week. I apologize. I don't know where I was at with this, why I did not, but here it is now. Y'all can throw that up there. That's Mr. Riley Harris with an 11-pound kicker that anchored his 40-pound tournament-winning bag in the VFL tournament recently.
Way to go, Riley. That's awesome. What else you got,
Absolutely. And now, and that's not all. This past weekend, we had the Sealy Big Bass Splash. Tons of big fish weighed in. Took a 4-pounder or better, all but 2 hours of the 3-day hourly payout winnings there to get a check. And then there were 4 fish for the overall grand prizes, 4 over 10 pounds weighed in over this weekend, which for me is just awesome, man. It's just crazy how Toledo's pumping them out. Congratulations to all those guys. Keep them coming. All right, now let's jump over to Rayburn. The fishing continues to be really good on Sam Rayburn as well. Same story with the water level. It stopped raining over here, and so the water level has begun to come down. It's still about a foot over pool there, but they are generating a lot more now, and there's no major rain in the forecast, so I look for that downward trend to continue, and that means those fish are going to be moving out. They're going to be pulling out of those bushes with that water level falling about 1/10 of a foot per day. These fish are going to be really coming out of those bushes and setting up on that offshore structure. And they're going to be setting up in bigger and bigger schools as that water level comes down more and more. So your crankbait, your Carolina rig, your Texas rig, all your offshore baits are going to definitely be dominant going forward as long as we don't get any more big rises in the water level. All right, now we're going up to Lake Granbury real quick. Mr. Thurman Selman always keeping us in the loop there with Bass's Specialty Guide Service. He says that the largemouth are still in the backs of the creeks there. They're still shallow there, and they're biting topwaters and the Bass Assassin soft plastics really good as they're finishing up spawning there. And then going back to Richland Chambers, Mr. Thurman got us informed on that one as well. He says the shad spawn is still in full swing there, and the fish are just gorging on them. He says Pelican Island has been a hot spot, especially early in the morning and late in the evening when they're feeding on those shad. You can catch them on topwaters like a buzzbait or a popper. And then if that's not happening for you, you can throw that Bass Assassin Fat Job in there, catch them that way. And that's all I got for you.
Man, you rolled through your report. Good job, bub. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots from the Middle Fresh region. My man says the offshore structure fishing is heating up on the eastern lakes while the shallower bite is still good on Richland Chambers and Lake Granbury.
That was so smooth.
Smooth.
Good job. All right,
Yes,
get ready to
ma'am.
eat, sleep, fish, and dominate in the 31st Annual Skeeter Owners Tournament at Lake Fork, June 7th through the 8th. Thousands of skeeter owners travel to celebrate the world's first bass boat and to fish for their chance to win thousands of dollars in cash and prizes. With hourly big bass prizes, lady, senior, junior divisions, and so much more, come join us for a weekend to remember. That's coming up quick. But up next, we are saluting the Prosec's Middle Coast and Heroes on the Water Lower Fresh region when we return, so stay hooked. And don't forget to stay up to date with everything fishing in Texas. Scan that QR code on your screen, follow us on social media, catch the latest fishing adventures on our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, and check out our show merchandise to gear up in style. Scan now and we'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Abyss Battery. Power your pursuit. Rodan. Set it, forget it, catch more fish. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Penn. Let the battle begin.
Welcome back. We're staying busy on the water in the Prosec's Middle Coast region this Memorial Day weekend, thanks to Captain Bink Grimes. So, Bink, tell us where we got to go and what we got to do.
First, let's just remind boaters and anglers to pack their patience this Memorial Day weekend. Be a lot of traffic on our waterways. Be conscientious boaters and anglers. Let's fly our American flags. Let's eat some barbecue, and I'm going to grill some of those Prosec's ribeyes. That topwater bite's been really good. Mirror sheep pups, she dogs have been good while drifting and waiting. Bass Assassins and Little Johns have been a good soft plastic choice. Flats adjacent to the jetties and passes are holding good trout on the incoming tide. Many of those ocean trout are coming through the passes. Southerly breezes have pumped up our tides. It's pushed trout tighter to the shorelines, and those waders are casting the reefs and working sand and grass pockets. We worked sand and grass and worked around slicks to catch some of our catch and release trout on these topwaters. That South Shoreline of West Matagorda Bay has been good most days, wading the flats with the high tides. Has been the ticket. Most of those trout are hanging about 40 to 50 yards off the shoreline with those good tides. Port O'Connor protected shorelines close to Pascavallo, been good for solid trout. Topwater bite's been good there throughout the day, especially while fishing the major and minor moon phases. Jetty action along the middle coast has improved with the warmer tides. Good numbers of trout have been good on live shrimp and topwaters. With Texas, our new 15 to 20 inch slot requirements, many of those jetty trout are too big to keep. So take care of them and release them. And our fisheries are improving daily with these conservation, catch and release attitudes. And man, we're really seeing a comeback in our fishery. That photo there, that's a big trout caught last week at East Matagorda Bay. The beauty hit a gulp shrimp under a popping cork, was photographed and quickly released. Redfish action, same pattern has been around Palacios and Matagorda, Crab Lake, Oyster Lake, and Coon Islands holding redfish on live shrimp and mullet. Tides are really high. Most of those fish are right on top of that shell. Waders have found redfish tight to the grass on the bloated tide. Smaller shrimp are hiding in those grass with the high tides, and those reds literally root them out with their nose. If you see a shrimp hopping in the grass, there's a good chance a redfish sparked that reaction. Best bets for reds continue to be along the beach as well. Slot-sized reds have been caught in that first gut. Bull reds are good on the deep side of the second sandbar and off the tip of the Matagorda jetty. We're expecting, we got a little cold front coming in. It's going to flatten our Gulf, and we're expected to get the surf this weekend. The surf side in Port O'Connor jetty are holding big bull reds too. Some are using crackwood crabs. Some are free-lining Gulf shrimp and Carolina rig table shrimp. Lots of slot-sized black drum have been on any piece of shell. It's been a bonus for us while chasing these reds in West Matagorda Bay. It's been good on really good game plan on these windy days we've been affording. Offshore action in Matagorda, Michael Quebecus, the Ling and Ambergat are beginning to show. Red snapper are good in state waters with most of those fish in the 10 to 15 pound range. As a reminder, the federal red snapper season opens January 1st. We're looking forward to that. There's lots of bull redfish and sharks near the beach. Colby in full swing with the Gulf water temperatures hovering around 82 to 83 degrees. Wahoo are on the deeper rigs and trash lines, but kingfish have been a tough find here lately. Hey, Memorial Day is a kickoff to our summer. Catch a fish with a family this weekend. Take a boat ride, fly a flag for the good old USA. Hey, pack some Projects dried sausage and jerky for the boat. Have a safe weekend. Have fun. Family.
So, Bink, I got a question for you before we go. My question is, what's a typical day at the Sunrise Lodge being right now?
Good question.
Right now, they're on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. They're watching the Texas Insider Fishing Report at 5 a.m.
Yeah, they
while they're
are.
eating breakfast. And then we're picking them up right there on our pier about 6 o'clock and drifting over deep shell, bringing them back by noon, cleaning fish, jumping in the pool, or making a putt on the putting green, and then eating supper that night.
Man, that sounds like
Living the dream.
paradise. All right, thank you for filling us in on that, my friend. We're gonna go and take a look at the Mirror Lure hotspots from the Middle Coast region. Bink says, guys, the trout are good in Port O'Connor on top waters on the incoming tide. The bull redfish are good at the jetties in Matagorda, Port O'Connor, Port Aransas, and Freeport. I'm gonna be right there by those jetties.
Oh, man.
Rockport and Port Aransas are next door neighbors.
Jubilating on the jetty, is that what you're going to be doing?
I hope.
All right, there are so many options to get your patriotic pride on in the Heroes on the Water Lower Fresh region with Matt Reed. But Lake Amistad is keeping us the busiest, right, Matt?
That's correct, Bree. Let's get this thing started off. When we're going to kick it off talking about Lake Amistad, my buddy Kurt Dove that owns Pro Bass Tackle over there sent me a report, said Amistad is fishing really good. Rocky Points up the Rio Grande past marker 15 have been best. Stick worms and small, lightweight Texas rig are working really well for those fish. The fish are fully post-spawn and headed into the early summer pattern. Man, they're getting lots of bites right now. They're catching 50 plus fish a day. Most of them are small, but you never know when you're going to stumble across that big one. If you want bites, get on down to Lake Amistad and join in on the action. Brian Cotter sent me a report from several lakes in the Austin area. Lake Buchanan is fishing really well. The fish are shallow and feeding on points and on the rock piles and at 5 to 12 feet of water. Best baits have been jigs, swim baits, and soft plastics. And the Berkeley Dime crankbait is also adding to some fish to your creel after you've thrown those soft plastics across those rock piles. Lake Travis is fishing very well. You want to fish the grass flats on the mid to lower part of the lake. Throw swim baits, glide baits, or if you just want to take it easy, you can drag that old Texas rig worm out there and get tons of bites. There's also some fish beginning to set up out on the points and ledges in that 15 to 25 feet of water. Throw jigs or big shaky heads to those fish to get those fish to bite later on in the day. LBJ is kicking out a bunch of bass as well. The fish are on the docks and bulkheads in that 3 to 10 foot range. You want to skip jigs under the docks, get it back under there as far as you can in the shade. That's your best chance to catch a big one. There are a few fish out deeper on the rock piles and brush piles. Texas rig soft plastics are the best option to apply for those bites. Inch Lake's been fishing really well all year long. You want to work the grass with worms or fluke style baits to get bit. But if you want to chase that big fish, again, the shade under the docks has been the best pattern lately. Just keep it back under there as far as you can. I love to pitch a jig, to get that big bite. If you just want some excitement, get your hollow belly frog, get up on the bulkheads, and there have been some really exciting bites up there extremely shallow. Going to talk about falcon a little bit. It continues to produce extremely well right now. The heat may be kicking in, but the bite is firing big time. Concentrate on the typical rock legs patterns with Berkeley Dime crankbaits and shaky heads. Another deal that is beginning to play right now, the old house foundations are putting out a lot of fish. Square bills, crankbaits, and mid depths crankbaits are the best. If you want to throw soft plastics on them, it's kind of a tricky way you need to rig it to stay, keep from getting hung all the time. Those things are real snaggy. Take a general, put a nail weight in the tail, and Texas rig it. That way it falls backwards down in the cracks in the rocks and does not get snagged on that Texas rig weight. That's the best way to reduce those hang-ups and catch you some big ones. Got two pictures there. One of them is some of my regulars that I dearly love every time they get in the boat. It's a family deal. You got the hinges. Paul is 90 and can still catch them, and that's his two sons, Grant and Phil. I get the privilege of having them in the boat several times a year. Second one is Clint with just another old typical Falcon special.
Another old typical.
Tell us about the crappies there, bub.
Greg Boyd sent me a report from Lake Somerville. The crappie are biting extremely well. Man-made brush piles in about 15 feet of water are your best options. The marinas are still also holding plenty of fish. Get your little jigs for most days, but when they get stubborn, some small minnows will definitely help you fill your limit.
So, Matt, I got a quick question for you. It's getting pretty hot in Texas right now. I saw some 95-degree weather temperatures today. So what are you doing to make sure you keep cool out there? Because you are in the very bottom of the region.
A 100-degree day is very typical for me for about 5 months of the year. Staying hydrated is the biggest key. I wear a sun buff to keep the sun off of my face as much as possible. But hydration is the biggest key. I'll drink 2 or 3 of the sugar-free electrolyte drinks a day. It just keeps my body going and just pump plenty of water in it. And that's about all you can do, because we do fish during the heat of the day. That's some of our best bite. So that 10 to 2 o'clock window is probably, there's more big fish put in my boat during that time frame than any other part of the day.
All right, man. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the lower fresh region. He says Lake Amistad. The bass bite will keep you busy. The rock points above marker 15 are loaded. Texas rigs, shaky heads, and any finesse presentation have been the best. 50 fish days have been common. So come join in the fun. Hydrate and keep it right.
Sweating for the catching. Does that work?
That's it.
That's it. I always put ice in my buff on the back of my neck to keep me cool. That's kind of my little trick.
Okay, that's cool.
Just saying.
That's cool.
All right, y'all. If you're dreaming of blue water and big game, listen up.
So that's right, Bree. The 44th annual Key West Marlin Tournament is set for July 23rd through the 26th during the heart of the legendary Key West Hemingway Days in Key West, Florida.
Absolutely. Last year's tournament reeled in a whopping $268,000 in cash payouts from the Marlin and Funfish divisions.
Wow. So bring your crew, bring the Key West, the family to Key West, and guess what? It's certainly calling you.
Get all the details and lock in your spot now at keywestmarlin.com. Sounds like a super fun time.
Hey, thanks for waking me up.
You're welcome. All right, get those rods and barbecues ready for the Lower Coast region when we come back. Plus, Dave Farrell is getting some Taco Marine new products ready for us at the Parts View Workbench with
Travis.
Woo!
We got Travis from Taco Marine here, and he's going to talk to us about some of these really cool chairs.
We're going to taco about them.
Exactly.
All right, we'll be back.
I couldn't do it as good as you.
I got you.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win, Fenwick, Feel Everything, Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, Heroes on the Water, Paddle, Fish, Heel, Turn on the Bite Anytime, Tie on a Mirrolure, Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA, and Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
Today's Power Pole tip, I'm going to let you in on a little secret that you can do with the Power Pole Vision. You can download Google Maps, and guess what? You now have the ability to go back in time. Let's take a look at this reservoir right here. If I go back in time on a Google satellite map to 2010, 2011, they drained this entire reservoir, and I am now fishing and navigating every point, every drop-off, every roadbed out here as if I were driving on a map. This is almost cheating, because when the lake is full like it is now, I can't see that structure, but being able to navigate from 10 years ago is unbelievable. So the fact that you can do this on Google Maps and go to your reservoir and look through the history of maps and find it, if it was ever drained or before they flooded it, and fish it live in today's time, is game changing. That's today's Power Pole tip.
Well, we're here at the Parts View Workbench, and it's time to troll the edge with Taco Marine. But guess what? This week, we're not trolling anything with Taco. We're actually got Travis here. You know, Travis, Taco has a variety of different categories that they go, but tonight we want to talk a little bit about the seat. So why don't you tell us about that division?
Absolutely. So Taco's been building helm seats for many years, but recently acquired one of the largest seating and upholstery manufacturers based out of Largo, Florida. So we do some of the biggest boat builders in the world and build some of the nicest helm seats you can get.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the seats. You know, there's a lot of shallow water manufacturers in Texas that build some shallow water running boats. Those guys really love a pedestal seat. So why don't you tell us a little bit about these seats?
Absolutely. So those are two of our most popular new helm seats mounted on our stainless steel pedestals as well. So that Anclote bucket seat in the tan there is one of the most popular for the Texas market. That we do on a builder out in Texas currently, Shallow Sport SCB, with I believe your buddy Chad Kinney is running those on his boat currently.
Wraps all around you and keeps you in there.
Absolutely, holds you in, which is important for that fast-moving shallow water boat.
Yeah.
And then
go ahead.
The open water helm seat is the upgrade version for those Texas boats, which is also used on Shallow Sport out in that Texas market.
So let's talk about what's under the cushions. What do we have as far as manufacturing the frames and whatnot?
So the majority of our helm seats have a full stainless steel frame internal, the stainless steel armrests, and the stainless rollback hinges, which allows for that durability and comfort that you could expect from the Taco seating.
We got some really cool stitching there. Do we have some options as far as that goes?
Absolutely, Rick. So we have a CNC quilter in-house, so we can do any pattern you want for quilt. The most common right now is that diamond quilt that you see, whether a single or double diamond, but we do Bentley quilt as well. and pretty much anything you can think of, we can design it at Taco Seating.
So if a guy's redoing his boat right now, maybe he's putting some new power, a new trolling motor, he wants to put in some new seats, can he order those 2 seats online?
Absolutely, they're available on tacoseating.com. You can get them in base colors, which would just be your white and your gray and so on, or you can do the custom seating for part of our website, where you can build the seat with tons of different vinyl colors and anything you want added to them.
So speaking of colors, so we got a variety of different colors that you have there. What about mildew resistant and all of that stuff?
So all of our vinyls are antimicrobial, which is basically protecting them against pinking or mildewing. That's both on the vinyl and the thread as well.
All right, so quickly, tell us about this seat here for offshore and sport fish boats.
So this is our brand new ultra luxury teak helm seat. It's unreleased, but it's available to exclusive boat builders. You can reach out to your builder, your dealer, get that on order for your boat. It's got a full stainless steel frame, and it is the most comfortable ladder back helm chair on the market.
So Travis, where do we go to find out more info?
tacoseating.com to find out anything you want to know about our helm chairs. They're also available at many different retailers as well.
I know what we just did isn't always easy. You did a great job.
Yeah, you did.
All right,
Appreciate
Dave, where
it.
are we
They're very
going
nice.
next?
Well, Bree.
we got a couple more new products left over, but we're going to start over there with the Bass Assassin, the KO Assassin. You know, this was a bait that Bass Assassin made a long time ago. And then they've decided to bring it back out because it's perfect for the forward-facing sonar guy and the guy who wants to use a wacky rig, any kind of soft finesse plastic thing. You know, this thing will work for it. Those big little lobes out there on the end, they just freaking undulate like crazy when that thing's sinking.
And you've been using these in your own lake in the backyard,
Been
right?
catching the first cast. I caught a bass on it.
How you rigging it?
I use a wacky rig in the middle. It's got a little ball weight and a weedless little weedless thing on it, and just throw it next to the lily pads, and it usually gets hit on the sink because that thing just undulates like crazy with those nice big balls on the end.
And where can we go to buy this?
BassAssassin.com.
All right, so let's talk a little bit.
Next,
again, another Abu Garcia.
The Abu Garcia Veritas winch reel. This thing is made super powerful, low profile reel. It's got a 5.4 to 1 gear ratio. It excels at throwing deep water crankbaits and Alabama rigs, heavy stuff. It's got that 95 millimeter bowed aluminum handle and a D2 gear system. So it has a lot of power, 25 pounds of drag. So, you put it on this Veritas winch rod and you're gonna pull them out of the hole.
So Dave, with a 5.4 retrieve ratio,
yes,
what would you use this for?
Oh,
worm fishing?
No, crankbaits. Maybe some heavy stuff in the lily pads and stuff. You wanted to do some jigging with, but this is made for throwing deep crankbaits and Alabama rigs.
So you don't
and
reel
real
too
heavy
fast.
stuff. Well, not only that, it's got the torque and can really control those heavy baits.
All right. Well, if we don't go to another region, we're going to get torqued.
Yes.
All right,
Correct.
Bree, where are we going?
Oh, Rick, we're looking at some trout, redfish, and kingfish catching from your long Stars and Stripes weekend ahead. So let's get the 411 on the Lower Coast region with Captain Chad Kinney. Chad, how you liking your new taco helm seats?
I was just about to talk about that. Didn't know the guys going to be on the show. They're epic. I would never, ever switch back again. It's just everybody's wanting them, sea trialing them. They're great. They're epic. So getting to the fishing reports, the inshore trout fishing remains good. 3 to 5 foot of water. We've been talking about that, but those were where the fish are at. The grass beds and sand pockets. Redfish have been up a little bit shallower up in the flats around Green Island. And some black drum have been up along the land cut and the ICW up the oil guts over there. So talking about trout fishing, we've been kind of broken record, but that's where they're at. They're in 3 to 5 foot water, especially if you can find some trout green water where there's some wind break or protection, because we've had a lot of high winds lately. If you can find some of that greenish water, it's a lot better right there. When the higher winds are up there, it's a lot more difficult for the water clarity. So if you get some decent conditions right down, what I would be doing is throwing the saltwater assassin sea shad is working really, really good on that. If you get the dirtier water, where they're still holding them, then I switch over to the gulp with the turbo shrimp by itself, or you can put it under a popping cork. Popping cork helps in that dirtier water. You can pop it with that gulp under there with a scent, and it works really, really good. Live croaker, of course, has just started out, and it's been working really, really good also as far as live bait. Friggin' line those in the sand pockets in the grass beds. If you find a big sand pocket with grass all the way around it, then use your power poles. Power pole down the edge and cast into that pocket on the edge of the grass with that live bait, and it'll work really good. Got a picture here, wade fishing, a nice picture of Santa Garza and Ruben Garza, her husband. They just took over the Getaway Lodge Adventures in Port Mansfield, so kudos to those people. They're really good people, top of the line, got a nice lodge. We'll be talking about them more in a year. So moving over to redfish, they've been holding in the flats around Green Island. I've been back and forth, fishing, a bunch of tournaments everywhere else like that. They're holding there, and south of Green Island also. The water is really pretty shallow. It's starting dumping out again like that. So the best thing to do is get up there and make some really, long drifts, or wade fish is actually more productive. But it's kind of a little boggy out there. So basically what you got to do is you got to look for some wakes real early in the AM. Look for them pushing. Look for mullet flipping. You'll see mullet flipping just south of Green Island to what I call a leaning tower back there. It'll be good right there. So if you start seeing that, drift through there, wade fish through there. Gold weedless spoons working really good. The key thing there, it's real shallow. It's about a foot of water, so you got to keep that in the middle of the water column. So you got to do a quick retrieve on that. You can also try some Berkeley J Walkers early in the morning. Works really good. Key thing is you got to make sure with that wind, make sure you keep it out of the grass or the floating grass, and you'll have a lot of flowers that come through a roll on and blow it up. It'd be a good bait for that. You might have to switch some single hooks if you start getting too much grass on those top waters. Just switch it to a single instead of the treble. It'll stay a lot cleaner through the whole retrieve on there. There's some undersized fish in there, and there's a lot of slot fish in the mix. And I got a picture here. A real good friend of mine, Mark Stussy, got out of Port Mansfield. His daughter came down and fished, and she was wade fishing right there by Green Island.
Go girl.
So
love it.
Moving over to going to the land cut there. We've been talking about this for a little bit too, and usually it's already fallen off by now, but it's still holding on. The drop offs, the oil guts, with these higher winds, the black drum are still holding there. So, frozen shrimp is working really good on a Carolina rig. We're fishing those drop offs. You can also try some smaller gulps, any size you pretty much want. The smaller ones, and slowly bounce off the edges while you got the shrimp. If it's on a Carolina rig, throw it off the front end and work the gulps off the drop off. A good trick is also on the shrimp, take the head off, peel the shell off, get more scent in the water if you're using the frozen shrimp or fresh dead shrimp, and that's going to produce a lot more bites on there.
All right,
offshore,
Chad, we're going to have to go on the offshore. We'll get to the kingfish next week. I know the wind's been really crazy, so there's not a lot there to report, but we're running out of time. We appreciate everything, bub. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the lower coast hotspots. He says inshore, trout remains in 3 to 5 feet of water around the grass beds and sand pockets. The weather station area and Saucer out of Port Mansfield has been really producing. And then offshore, conditions remain rough, but you can get outside the jetties and the beachfront. There are some kingfish on the troll.
All right, well, before we send y'all off into the weekend, we want to seize the social with you. So here's what we found from the Gulf, lakes, and creek feeds this week.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, we're having a party. Or, wow, is that a swim up bar? I love it. That's crazy. Ain't mutton to it.
Oh man, ain't mutton to it.
What's he gonna say?
Oh.
No, leave him be. He's one of the pets. He's like a dock pet. Can't do that. What?
That man was close to find out why they call that a snapper.
Yeah.
Because he was hand feeding him.
Oh, what was he feeding him? Nuggets?
He was
chicken nuggets.
Oh, whatever you want to say, Bree. I thought it was part of a shrimp out of a shrimp taco at the pool bar.
Oh, okay. Well, that didn't look like a pool to me. It looked like the ocean.
Could have been anything.
Saltwater pool, baby.
With pet muttons? Oh my gosh, we could go down them.
We need to find out where that place was.
Exactly.
Hey, can you text us, drop her a DM, and let us know where that was,
Yeah,
because we want to
remember,
go.
if you saw a fishing reel you'd like to share and be featured on Seize the Social, just scan that QR code like Rick said, or drop them in our DMs. But gentlemen, that is our show. We hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day as we honor and remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. Remember, fish hard, stay safe, drink water, and please be courteous to everyone on the water this weekend. It's gonna be a busy one.
So what are you going to do
Slow
this
down.
weekend?
I'm gonna fish.
You going
I'm gonna go to
fishing?
the sandbar. I'm gonna go hang out with my muttons. Maybe, we'll see. Bye everybody, have a good
Bye,
weekend.
guys. Be safe. Wear your life
Wave your
jackets and
flag,
your kill
Dave.
switches.
Wave the flag.